A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu was-salam ala Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilman. So, assalamu alaikum everyone. Today, inshallah, we will be looking at a verse from Surah Al-Qasas, which is chapter 28, and it is verse 77, where Allah tells us to use what He has granted us to build our hereafter while balancing our responsibilities in this world. He goes on to say, and do good to others as Allah has done good to you. So this verse was addressed to the wealthy and powerful Qarun, who is a figure mentioned in the Quran as a wealthy, arrogant and corrupt individual from the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. And he's depicted as someone who is granted immense wealth. It is said that he had so much wealth that it took several strong men to carry just the keys to his kingdom, right? And he believed that his success was purely as a result of his own efforts and intellect. He was blinded by pride and failed to recognize that his prosperity was, in fact, a blessing from Allah. He hoarded his wealth, spending it recklessly to indulge his own desires while turning a blind eye to the needs of others. His story serves as a cautionary tale of how unchecked greed and self-centeredness can cloud our ability to see the purpose behind the blessings we received. So what was his downfall was that despite the warnings from Nabi Musa alayhi salam to be humble and grateful, he remained defiant. And as a result, Allah caused the earth to swallow him and his treasures as a punishment for his arrogance and disbelief. So this verse is a profound reminder that the blessings we receive are not solely for our own enjoyment or accumulation. They are a trust from Allah meant to be used for the betterment of others. We can, of course, enjoy them, but it should not stop there. Allah has endowed us with various gifts, not only material. They can be intellectual, spiritual, the gift of time. And it is through how we use these gifts that we show our gratitude and fulfill our purpose on earth. So, Qarun's failure was his inability to see that blessings, especially abundance, are not simply rewards, but they are actually tests of how we will use them. And they're not for us alone, they are meant to be shared. The Quran encourages us to use the blessings we have, whatever they may be, wealth, knowledge or power, as tools to do good in the world. Often we are told in the Quran that your wealth and your children are a trial, right? And then we're also told that we can seek the hereafter by means of these blessings, right? So, when we share the blessings, we participate in the divine flow of blessings and contribute to the well-being of others rather than hoarding them for our own selfish purposes. From a spiritual perspective, we must recognize that we are merely guardians of the blessings that Allah has given us. We know that nothing truly belongs to us in the absolute sense. It is entrusted to us by Allah to be used for good and to be shared with others. And this understanding transforms the way we view our material possessions, our intellectual gifts, and even our time. We are not meant to accumulate blessings for their own sake, but to be conduits through which goodness flows to others. In other words, we are means. We are also told that the risk of people is, fixed in the, with the wealth that is given to some people, right? So this, principle obviously aligns with the Islamic teachings on charity and the importance of sharing. And the Prophet ﷺ emphasized that giving in charity doesn't just refer to wealth. It extends to knowledge, to time, to kindness. He said a smile can be a charity, anything that can benefit others. In fact, many scholars argue that charity is one of the most effective ways to purify our hearts and to engage in meaningful spiritual growth. So how do we pay it forward? How do we do good to others as Allah has done to us? So first of all, we need to reflect on the blessings we've received, right? And consider how we can pay them forward. Of course, because He is the all-generous, the Kareem, what we give benefits us more than the recipient of our gift or service. So let us reflect on how we can use a tiny portion of our gifts for the benefit of others. First of all, the most obvious thing that comes to mind is financial resources. If we've been blessed with wealth, how are we using it? Are we contributing to causes that help those in need? Are we supporting charities? Are we helping our community? And, on a side note, there are still a precious few days left in Ramadan to attend to this. My charity of choice in Canada for relief and development projects at home and overseas is IDRF. And, they are one of the few charities that is still active on the ground in Gaza and working under very, very difficult situations. Right now, till the end of Ramadan, they have a matching fund for Palestine. So please use this moment. Their website can be found at idrf.ca, and they have a variety of projects that they support all over the world. And what psychology, studies have shown us is that the acts of giving, even small ones, significantly boost our own well-being. Altruistic behavior fosters a sense of purpose and satisfaction, contributing to the emotional and psychological well-being. When we share our wealth, we not only benefit others, but we also enrich our own lives. If we have bodily strength and ability, if we have good health, are we using it to help others, volunteering our time, using our strength to serve, or helping others physically? Are ways of sharing this blessing, right? Again, lots of research on how volunteering time and abilities, people who do that, who are volunteers, they report much higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. The act of giving physically to others often creates a deeper connection with our own well-being. And then, of course, we have knowledge. It doesn't have to be scholarly knowledge, it can be something is at sale at a certain grocery store, right? Sharing that knowledge, sharing anything that will benefit others. Of course, if we can share knowledge to educate and empower others, there's nothing like it, right? Of course, we know that the best way to learn something is to teach others, right? Teaching others reinforces our own knowledge and, of course, builds a sense of fulfillment at the same time. So, again, when we give of knowledge, it only grows, it only deepens. And, this again teaches us that when we give in His way, we are the primary recipients of the benefit. We may have social connections and power. If we have influential relationships or hold positions of power, how are we using them to elevate others, to advocate for those people who do not have the voice to advocate for themselves? Using, helping those without access to networks. These are all ways that we can use our social connections and power to pay it forward. And of course, if you're blessed with time or an easy life, how are we using this gift? Time once spent, we know, is never regained, right? So how we spend it really matters. Whether it is spending time with loved ones, taking the time to smile at someone, or simply making a conscious effort to be kind. Our time, our presence, our attention are very valuable gifts. And once again, we know that people who spend time nurturing relationships and engaging in acts of kindness experience greater life satisfaction and happiness. So, psychological research consistently supports the idea that engaging in acts of kindness and generosity increases well-being and happiness. A well-known concept in positive psychology is what is known as the helper's high, a phenomena where individuals experience a sense of joy and well-being after helping others. So notice that for yourself. When you do something good for others, when you are paying something forward, just check in with yourself and see how it makes you feel. Research from the Greater Good Center at the University of Berkeley has shown that giving, whether in terms of money, time, or other resources, releases dopamine in the brain, which creates feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. So the more we give, the more we train our brain to seek these positive emotional rewards. Also, research on social connectedness indicates that the more we help others, the more we foster meaningful social connections. This in turn leads to better mental health because we know relationships are really key to well-being. It leads to improved coping skills and increased resilience to stress. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes when we are in the midst of a challenging season of our lives, and it can be difficult to notice what is needed and to reach out to help and support others. And this is the time we need to remind ourselves that our comfort and our healing from challenges does not lie in isolating ourselves as we would like to do, but in fact in reaching out to help others. When we do this, we are working towards our own well-being and we are providing comfort and healing to ourselves. So, as we reflect on the blessings we've been granted, we must ask ourselves, are we making the world better because of them? Do we share our resources, whether material, intellectual, or social, in a way that benefits others? Are we using our position to help those in need, or are we hoarding our blessings for personal gain, as Qarun did? This verse calls us to be conduits of goodness in this world, to ensure that the flow of blessings continues. Our ultimate purpose is not to accumulate blessings, but to share them, creating a ripple effect of kindness, justice, and compassion. Doing good, as it has been said, is the rent we have to pay for this life. And here's one of my favorite poems reflecting this. It is called At Day's End. Is anybody happier because you passed his way? Does anyone remember that you spoke to him today? The day is almost over, and its toiling time is through. Is there anyone to utter now a kindly word of you? Can you say tonight in parting, with the day that's slipping fast, that you helped a single brother of the many that you passed? Is a single heart rejoicing over what you said or did? Does the man whose hopes were fading now with courage look ahead? Did you waste the day or lose it? Was it well or sorely spent? Did you leave a trail of kindness or a scar of discontent? As you close your eyes in slumber, do you think that God will say, "You've earned one more tomorrow by the work you did today"? And this is by John Hall. So as we reflect on the blessings we've received and the responsibility to share them with others, I want to ask a small favor from you. If you have found benefit in these Ramadan reflections, please consider paying it forward. Share the reflections with one or two people who might benefit from them. If you listen to the podcast, I would be really grateful if you take a minute to write a review on Apple Podcasts, and the link is attached. It really helps the content reach a wider audience. And if you're on social media, a quick comment or a share of a post can also make a huge difference in spreading the message. Together, we can ensure the blessings that we have received continue to flow and impact others in meaningful ways. So thank you so much for your support. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.